question, and I'm not surprised you asked, because if you Google deschooling, you will find all sorts of opinions and all sorts of differing information on what it is, how often you should do it, and how you should go about it. But at its core, deschooling is just simply about breaking free from the influence of the formal education system. So public school is deeply ingrained in our society. You see it everywhere. Statistically speaking, most of us went to public school. It's kind of held up as the gold standard of education, which is surprising considering all the issues with it. But we all conceptualize school kind of from that public school model. So deschooling is just a process that you go through where you learn to kind of reject that model, maybe not everything about that model, but you learn to conceptualize learning in a different way. And you can do that different ways. You can read books that talk about learning and child development. You can read articles. You can listen to podcasts. It's basically just immersing yourself in a different perspective. So when you think about deschooling, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to spend some time looking into your own preconceived notions of education, learning, and what that looks like. I recommend journaling through this process, and I have a resource that's not in my link tree yet, but it's actually a 21-day guided deschooling journal, and I'm hopefully going to have all of my resources available for everybody very soon. But I like the idea of a guided journal because sometimes it's like, okay, what books do I read? What do I think about? If you are so entrenched, if you have never conceptualized learning and education in any other way, which most people wouldn't, why would they? It's really hard to figure out how you're supposed to root that out of your subconscious. So hopefully I'll have that available soon. But in the meantime, there's a lot you can do. So I would sit down and start just asking yourself questions, kind of in a journal, just interview yourself. What do I think learning is? What do I think a good education is? Why do I think that? Why do I have these ideas? What are my ideas? You can use the brainstorming method where you just sit down and you start with a question like maybe what is a good education? And then you just start brainstorming everything that comes to mind and trying to root out some of those beliefs that are in your subconscious mind that you're not even aware of and just get them out onto paper. And then once you do that, you can look through them and say, okay, this is what I believe about learning. Maybe I think that learning math is really important, and maybe that will stay important to you, but maybe not. The whole point is to get them out there and to really look at them, maybe go look up some research, maybe get some other ideas on it, and just get those subconscious beliefs out of your mind, examine them, decide if you want to keep them or if you want to get rid of them. That is the heart of deschooling. And then I believe educating yourself is a huge part of deschooling as well, because this is the time where you want to learn, okay, so if this public school model isn't the best model, what does research tell me is the best model? And then at this time, if you're new to homeschooling, I also encourage parents to take some time and watch their children, kind of like a wildlife documentary where you're not interfering, you're just watching. What does my child like to do when I'm not interfering? How do they spend their time? How do they like to learn? How do they engage in the world? Write it all down, and that will give you clues as to how they're going to learn best when you're homeschooling them. So to me, it's kind of a three-pronged approach. Getting to your internalized beliefs about education and examining them, educating yourself about learning and child development, and observing your child so that you have some clues as to how to best meet their needs. And that can be a lot, which is why I made a journal, which I will get available very soon, I promise.